Hey everyone. Today is Wednesday, August 25th, 2021, and I've run out of numbers. I thought it would be a good time to do a live stream, an appropriate day, as it were. Not sure as to how long I'm going to do this live stream tonight. I just thought it would be an appropriate day since today is the first day, or I should say it is the day for the early release day for my brand new feature documentary film, which actually happens to be the very first Stay Tuned themed movie. If you can believe there's a movie. What started as a podcast back in 2018, April of 2018, now has a film themed around Stay Tuned itself, which is really exciting. And I'm very excited to share it with you watching at home. I can't wait to hear what you think about it. Some people have already seen it. I've already gotten some feedback back, which has been really wonderful. And I'm looking forward to hearing more thoughts from people. So hopefully that'll be you. But tonight, the whole point tonight is, if you're wondering what I'm talking about tonight, I just sort of wanted to do another Q&A since the film is, thank you for the thumbs up. Whoever just gave me a thumbs up, I appreciate that. Sort of a Q&A this evening about, just the whole thing. But I just completed, a few days ago, I just completed the closed captioning in English, which was something that I use all the time, whether it's TV or film. I'm constantly looking at the closed captioning. It's not 100% because I can't hear what's being said. I find that a lot of the reason I like it is just more of playing to my completionist side. I like to, as a knowledge thing, I like to know what's, all the different words. And it's pretty frustrating, though, if you're somebody like me who likes to look at closed captioning, finding errors. You would think that would be like, haha, I found it. No, it's just irritating. I just get like, no, that's not what that person said, but it happens. I do think that it made me a pretty good candidate for somebody doing closed captioning because, again, there's that inner perfectionist I have in me, and that he was like, yay, I get to make sure that I'm accurate about all the words. Cool, let me do that. So it was a pretty appropriate task. I think it took me about a week between doing like the initial transcription, and then I went back after I was done transcribing the film and I timed it. So I had it play alongside with the film, and I made sure that each group of words were on screen for the appropriate amount of time. So that was all of that. I think was about a week worth of effort, which was longer than I thought it would be. But if you ever try to do transcription and timing, if you ever try to do it yourself, I think you'll understand very quickly why it takes that much time. It's just a lot of very detail-oriented work. But all of that aside, if you're here tonight and you're watching with me, or if you're watching this later on the rewind, some people work weird hours and they don't get to watch my live streams, or maybe they're just busy, or maybe they didn't even know about it. Maybe they weren't notified. If that's you, hi, you still matter. And if you have questions for me, you could put those questions in the comment section, and I'll get to them in text-based mode when I can. But if you're here live right now, I would very much enjoy interacting with you if you have anything you'd like to chime in with. And if not, if you just want to hang out here with me while I'm playing some easy listening and sort of reminiscing about the last 7 months of my life. I'm glad you're here for that too. Uh, I don't I don't think I've ever attempted any kind of project that was this, or is, I guess is, it still is this scale and scope of what this film is. So it was definitely a unique, large challenge made up of a bunch of tiny challenges. And it is very nice to be on this side of it. Let me tell you, I enjoyed very much going through the process, but I will tell you the amount of weight that has been lifted now that I have it completed and I'm happy with it. That is a really great feeling. And when you're in the thick of things, you like to tell yourself it's going to be okay. You like to remind yourself, hey, everything's going to work out. But, then there's that little voice in the back of your head telling you, but what if it doesn't work out? Yeah. I don't know if you guys have, whether you're creative or not creative, I don't know if you have that voice in your head. You might. A lot of people have that voice in their head. Sometimes it's many voices. Now we're all going to think I'm schizophrenic. But no, it's more of an internal monologue that I have yet to learn how to turn off. It's more about mitigating how often I hear it and what I say in response. So that was probably, I've said this a lot, but I'm going to say it again. I think one of the biggest challenges when doing any giant project really is the mental Olympics. That's like the hardest. I think it's like one of the hardest parts is the mental Olympics. So, if you can get past that, if you can get past all of those kinds of personal challenges, then I would say good on you, because that's like the first step. If you can get past any kind of negative self-talk and you can push through and find yourself and find your voice and then find a way to harness that and sort of be the best version of yourself that you can be very present. If you can do that, then you can do some amazing things. And then the trick becomes if you can do it again tomorrow. And I find that is exactly the process you need to engage in when doing any kind of massive project. Is that. It's exactly what you need to do. So, yes, as I call it, the mental Olympics. If you can get past all the mental hurdles, then be prepared for some great stuff. And so, being true to yourself. Being true to yourself is critical. It's like you have to do it. Otherwise, I don't know what you're doing. So, anyway, I didn't have a whole lot of things to say. I just sort of wanted to open up the phone lines, as it were, the Q&A, as it were, and also just sort of, I've been documenting on and off over the last 7 months. I've been doing these little live streams here and there and just sort of kind of checking in. And I like to think there's some value in it, maybe to no one else but myself. Maybe this is just pure therapy. Or maybe I'll go back a year or two from now and watch this video and go, oh, that's what I thought of everything back then. Okay. Yeah. Maybe. But if you're wondering how you can watch the film I've just got done rambling about for the last 10 minutes, as of right now, people who were supporting this project back in January, February of this year, they have already received an email this morning with a link to the film, which is, let me tell you, another very rewarding feeling, because I was pretty flattered and taken aback by all the support that came through in the beginning part of this year, and to know that I can now, be reciprocal with it and be like, hey, remember that thing that you threw money at? Guess what? Here it is. And that's a pretty great feeling to be able to do that. That's like, there were times when I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to do that. And I was thinking to myself, gosh, I hope I can get to that point. So to get there now is great. It's a great feeling. And if you weren't part of that, if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, don't worry. Everybody else who has was not part of the Kickstarter, you'll be able to watch the film in 12 days. It's going to be on YouTube. But the other group of people that got an email this morning, aside from people who received my email newsletter, were my patrons. So if you are a patron, you got an email this morning with a link, and you get to go and watch the film as well. So you get to see it early as well. Hey, TJ is here. He says, Mr. Phil, just tuning in. Hey, TJ. Welcome to the show. Tonight I'm just sort of chilling and kind of reminiscing a little bit and just hanging out, seeing who wants to be in this virtual space with me for a little while. I don't know how long I'll be here tonight. Maybe a whole hour, maybe 30 minutes. So, but I'm just sort of talking about, the last 7 months and this movie day that we are in the midst of. Today is movie day if you're part of those groups of people that I just spoke about. If you're not part of the Patreon group, it's really easy to do it. You just got to go to patreon.com/Philmaki, and you can be one of my supporters for as little as $2. So I would say thank you if you do that. Thank you very much. TJ says, so proud of you. Thank you, TJ. Much obliged, sir. Very much, very appreciative. I am for you of that. I'm speaking in Yoda speak. But anyway, for those of you who are not part of any of those groups, you'll be able to watch the film on YouTube in 12 days. So there's also that. Don't worry. I'm not going to hide the film behind a paywall. The reason I am, making it accessible for patrons right now is because I'm trying to, thank them for being supporters of me. This is that's my way of being able to thank people is early access to things. But also, I would very much like to have more of you join my Patreon family, which would be fantastic. That is, if you didn't know, that is how I support myself as an independent artist. That is my bread and butter. People want to know what I do for a living. It's making content. That's what I do. And the paycheck comes from supporters. As of right now, that could change. Maybe that'll change, and I'll have support come from a different undisclosed location that I've yet to discover. But for now, that is what it is. And, honestly, I'd like to keep it like that. That'd be fantastic if it could just be that one source. I would really, really appreciate that. So if you have any questions about anything I've been talking about tonight, please feel free to send me a message privately, and I'll get back to you. TJ says, I will say, I have several friends in Austin and San Antonio. You are by far the busiest guy in Texas when it comes to entertainment. Well, thank you. I don't know that I would have given myself that title, because I know, actors and musicians, and I feel like they work super hard. So, but thank you. That means a lot to me. It can be very, very challenging to be an independent creator, because there's just so much stuff competing for our attention, and I don't like to think of myself as competing with other people. I try to compete with myself. I try to be the best version of myself that I can, and then one up myself. But I won't deny the fact that there's a lot of people making entertainment, There's a lot of them. There's a lot of independent people doing it too. And unfortunately, I don't like. I wouldn't know where to begin if I was just going out there looking for stuff to consume. So, man, if you're here and you're watching anything I do, hats off to you, because you could have been anywhere else and you chose to be here. So thank you for that. Seriously, thank you. And when you eventually do get around, if you do, to watching the film, thank you for watching that. It's a 2-hour movie, and I know that can be intimidating. I will tell you that one of the things I did in the YouTube details of the film, I actually created chapters. And the great thing about making chapters on YouTube is that if you type them out in the details, then they become chapters on the timeline on YouTube. So people can actually, skip ahead or jump to a different chapter, just like you would on a DVD menu, which is really cool. I don't know if you guys knew that was a thing you could do on YouTube. It's very, very cool. So that's part of the film already. That's part of the file that I have with YouTube. There's a chapter index. I want to say it's like 7 chapters. So they're not necessarily all the same length. They're varying lengths. But I thought it was a really cool way to break up, if you wanted to make a bookmark mentally in your head and go, okay, cool, I just finished chapter 2. I'll come back later and start chapter 3. You could do that, and it makes it a little bit easier. TJ says, dude, I've seen the trailer. It's freaking phenomenal. Thanks, man. Thanks, TJ. Yeah, I had fun putting that together. Fun story. For a long time, I was not going to make a trailer with footage from the film. I really was not going to. I don't know. I had it in my head that was going to somehow be a negative thing to do. I just had it in my head. And I had input from both sides. I had people saying, yes, you should make a trailer. And I had people saying, hey, man, if you don't think you need to make a trailer, then just go with your gut and don't make a trailer. I had both of those arguments. And I will tell you, eventually what won out was I realized that I had some kind of fear holding me back. And when I have fear holding me back, I'm not going to say that I'm perfect at this, but when I can muster up the courage, I try to fight back. I try to go, all right, if that's something I'm afraid of, then maybe it's something I need to face head on. And that was what got me all the way there to doing a trailer. The interviews, the backgrounds, the edits. Thank you, TJ. Yeah, the backgrounds thing I'm so glad I did it. It was something I decided very early on in the process, obviously. And part of the way through the film, I was like, I'm not sure if this is going to work, if it's going to look ridiculous. I just was not sure. Thankfully, it worked out. I mean, really, I am so thankful that it looks the way that it does, because that could have gone a number of ways. And thankfully it didn't. I'm very thankful that it worked out as well as it did. Very much so. The editing, that comes from that's a lot of just watching the same thing over and over again. I don't know if any of you guys are, aware of this, but I think people that make video content, or if you haven't done it yet and you're thinking about it, just go into it knowing you're probably going to watch something way more than you thought you ever would, and you might even kill it for you. Not that I killed it for me, but I'll tell you what, if I didn't love it as much as I do, it would have been really hard to get through. TJ is asking me, TJ, you're my guy tonight, man. You're here with all the questions. He says, let me ask you this, because I cannot remember. When me and you were at the writer's table at the last Saturday show, for those of you who don't know, was a very, very briefly lived sketch comedy show that took place here in Austin. And we didn't get too far off the ground. I think we had 1 or 2 performances, and then that was it. The gentleman who was in charge of it called it quits. for a number of reasons. But anyway, he says, were you already working on these projects? Stay tuned in Retail Sunshine. That's a good question. That's a really good question. Retail Sunshine, yes, I have been making Retail Sunshine related stuff since early 2008. And I moved to Austin in 2013, summer of 2013. So yes, Retail Sunshine absolutely existed, and I had books printed and everything before I even came to Austin. Stay Tuned, no. As I said, Stay Tuned started in April of 2018. So Stay Tuned is relatively new. There are examples of me. I think like the kernels of truth that led to Stay Tuned kind of already existed, meaning I had made some YouTube content and I was, experimenting with those kinds of things and like radio show format stuff and announcing things and hosting things. I was doing that kind of stuff before 2018, but Stay Tuned was not something that was very premeditated like that. No. Stay Tuned came kind of out of nowhere. I'll tell you what happened. I was working in tech support, and a friend of mine who lives back in the Midwest, the Michigan area, she asked me, her name is Lynn, she asked me if I would appear as her first guest on an app called Stationhead. And the app Stationhead is about, it's like having your own radio station, like a pirate radio station. And she's like, I want you to be my first guest. I want to, highlight people that are creative who are from the Toledo area. And she's like, I want to start off with you. And I said, well, I don't live in Toledo anymore, but yeah, I worked in Toledo for a number of years. So by the end of that interview, I was like, I have got to know, how can I do this? Can I have my own station on Stationhead? She's like, yeah, probably. You just got to talk to the people who are in charge. And I said, I think she offered to talk to them for me. And I was like, yeah, please ask them if there's room for me, because I would love to do this. So then, yeah, that like a week later, I had my own station on Stationhead. And I was just like, Stationhead's cool. Well, I don't know, I haven't used it recently, but it was cool when I was using it, because one of the things you could do, the main thing you could do, is you could pull music from this giant music library, and you could curtail these playlists. So your radio station, your personal radio station, would be playing on loop whatever track or series of tracks that you had chosen. So that was like your custom tailored station. It was really, very cool. And then I was thinking, well, I know besides playing music on Stationhead, I know I could also, do a broadcast. So every now and then I would go live and I would introduce the next song or talk about the song that had just finished playing. When I was thinking about what sort of, if I had a program, what would I do? My first thought was, well, I'd probably want to talk about cartoons if I could. That's what I would want to do. I remember thinking that. And then the next thought that came after that was, well, there's a lot of amazing artists out there who don't get the recognition that I think they deserve. So maybe I could do a show where I talk about them. Maybe I could do some reviews. And for a while, Stay Tuned had a review portion to it. I was actually doing like alternating weeks. I'd have 1 week where I would interview somebody, and I'd have 1 week where I would do a review on a brand new animated movie or an older movie that had come out years ago. And I would kind of like alternate. And then eventually, I think it was like 2019, like a year later, when I turned it into a podcast and I took it away from Stationhead. Speaking of Stationhead, Nicole's here. Hey, Nicole. I haven't talked to you in a while. But in 2019, when I made it a podcast, I was like, I'm going to get rid of the reviews. No more reviews. Everybody and their brother does reviews. Not that I didn't think mine were good, but I don't know. I felt like my show was stronger as an interview show. So I made that very decisive choice to focus on interviews. And then starting with season 2 of the podcast, Stay Tuned became all interviews all the time. TJ says, well, let me take you back briefly. Life gets fast and you miss things. Fill me in on how you felt when you even thought of making Batman film. How did I feel when I even thought of it? I will tell you, it came in December. It wasn't something that I individually cooked up randomly. I'm not gonna get too far into the weeds, but let me just say the idea of making a film with Batman as the central theme was presented to me in December by somebody else. And when they asked me to do the project, I said yes, but I have a number of conditions. And one of the conditions was that I get to name the movie. And one of the other conditions was I get complete creative control. And one of the other conditions was it's going to be about like the collective group of people that made Batman the Animated Series. Because when the idea was presented to me, that was not how it was presented. And I'll just leave it at that. So after all those things, the individual was like, yeah, that's fine. I felt, first of all, I felt really excited. I mean, really, really excited that that this project would come to me. I wasn't seeking it out. At that point in time, I was dealing with some other stuff entirely. And I was not looking to start a brand new project. I really wasn't. I wasn't going to start a film. No. I was like applying for jobs as like an online teacher. I wasn't even going to do anything creative. I was like, creative stuff, you're going to go to the side for a minute while I go and apply for a job somewhere. And then this project came and I was like, well, guess I won't be applying for a job somewhere. I guess this is my job. And that's the short version. TJ says, thank you, kind sir, for answering. You're welcome, kind sir. Thank you for asking. That's a really great question. I actually really appreciate that. I mentioned Nicole, who popped in here earlier saying, hey, Nicole is someone that I met through Stationhead. She was one of the people that used to listen to my radio program, Stay Tuned, when that's all it was. It wasn't on YouTube. It wasn't on Twitch. It wasn't on Facebook. It wasn't a podcast. It was only through Stationhead. And there are a very select, small group of people, I'd say no more than 5, who I met during that period of time. Some of them, like Nicole, I still keep in touch with. And they still kind of check in on me. I check in on them. And it's pretty great. You never know where or who you're going to meet, right? You never know where you're going to meet people, and you never know who you're going to meet there. And that's pretty exciting, I think. I love that. If I have to say something that I genuinely love about one of the unexpected things about life, it's never knowing who you're going to meet and never knowing where or how you're going to meet them. I think that's like a very cool thing. Yeah. Especially if you keep in touch, especially if you like make a friend for life, then it's just like you got all your stories of like, oh, this is how we met, Yeah. TJ says, I love your flowing live with director Phil Maki. Oh, you mean at the bottom of the screen? Thanks, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. TJ wants to know, how do I like directing? I like it very much. Directing for a documentary, I will say, though, is different than directing for a, more narrative theatrical story. there is directing involved in both, but with this Batman movie, the directing came more in the form of the kinds of questions I would ask, and then just the general engaging with the person I'm interviewing with. Like, it was, if you want to call that directing, I just try to call it being an engaged conversationalist. But that's a form of directing. I have directed actors before when they were acting, and I haven't gotten a lot of times to do that, but I've done it a few times, and I really enjoy that too. I wouldn't mind doing that again. It's been a number of years since I've gotten the chance to do that. The last time I got to direct any actors, I think, was I did a radio version or a podcast version of an old script that I wrote years ago, and then you can listen to it now. It's available on YouTube if you search for The Phil Show. I directed this sketch comedy show called The Phil Show, and it was with a number of actors, and we were doing voice work, but it was still directing actors. That was the last directing I think I did, aside from this documentary. So yeah, I like it quite a bit. I grew up acting, and I definitely miss acting, but directing is really great too, and I feel like directing in many ways scratches the itch. I don't have to do both, but I enjoy doing both. Hopefully that answered your question. Yeah. TJ is asking, your characters for Retail Sunshine, did you have any different looking styles other than what you chose? Different looking styles? You mean like the style of the comic strip? If that's what you mean, not really. If you look at the early Retail Sunshine stuff, it looked more basic. It looked more sketchy. So I would say that's probably the different looking stuff, is the early sketchy stuff. If you look at the new Retail Sunshine stuff, it's very clean, very bold. I don't want to say it's mechanical, but it's very, let's say, geometric. Let's say it's very geometric. So the current stuff is more geometric, and the old stuff was pretty loose, very much like just a pencil drawing that wasn't not a whole lot of care was taken. But that was the style I was going for. Oh, thank you, TJ. TJ says, you intrigue me. That's why I'm asking. Well, thank you. Yeah. So I really wanted to hit the ground running with that series, and believe it or not, it still ended up growing and being a little bit different. I guess that's inevitable if you're gonna try to make something artistic and grow and change. Your work's gonna grow and change with you. But I really, really wanted to, when I started that series, I wanted to know what I wanted from the beginning. And I would say, for the most part, aside from the evolution of a little bit of the art and the writing, it evolved, but it didn't completely flip. It didn't flip script. It wasn't like night and day. It's more like now it's refined, and earlier it was raw. So the current Retail Sunshine stuff doesn't look raw anymore. That's the best way I can say it. I actually miss making comics quite a bit, and I hope to return to that in the near future. I don't know what I'll be doing next. Right now I'm sort of cleaning house, as it were. I'm sort of organizing and cleaning, and I can tell you this. I can tell you that last year, almost a whole year ago, like late September of last year, I was conducting interviews for a kind of a Stay Tuned-esque thing, which was called FanCon. And FanCon, I actually recorded a total of 8 episodes of it, but only 5 are completed and available. So the remaining 3 episodes, I would like to get those completed. One of them I'm in the middle of working on as we speak, and it's actually not too far from being done. So in the not so distant future, probably shortly after 2 weeks from now, when the movie comes out, or shortly after that, so maybe 3 weeks from now, that'll be when I release another episode of FanCon, which is pretty cool to be able to say that, because I wasn't sure when I was going to get to that. TJ says, I'm waiting for a Jurassic Park type story from you. Well, that's intriguing. I love Jurassic Park so much. I don't know that I would ever make a Jurassic Park type story. You mean like a novel, like a science fiction, or do you mean like a movie about Jurassic Park, or do you mean just? I'm wondering what you mean, because I don't know that I would ever try to do something. I don't know. I feel odd about taking something that's so beloved to me and going like, I'm going to do the same thing. I try not to do that. Like, I love Ghostbusters with all my heart, but you probably won't see me ever penning a story about people that catch ghosts. Like, it's probably not going to happen unless I, by some fluke, freak accident or whatever, wind up getting hired to like write an official story about either of those properties. I don't know that would ever happen, but if it did, I would do it. Yeah, I would do it. If someone was like, hey, Phil, we want you to write a Ghostbusters story or a Jurassic Park story, I'd be like, yeah, okay. Sure. I'm surprised you're not making like a documentary of deep details. What is deep details? You've stumped me. I don't know what that is. Is that a series? Is deep details a thing? Hey, thanks for the like, whoever just gave me a like. I appreciate that. I'm seeing likes in my Facebook counter. I appreciate that. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. I'm hanging out with TJ is in the room right now. He's been asking me some great questions. But don't let that stop you. If you're just now coming in and you'd like to get involved, you're totally welcome to chat along with us. Oh, like behind the scenes. Well, as far as behind the scenes go for Jurassic Park, I kind of feel like there's a lot of them. There's a whole amazing book that was put out called The Making of Jurassic Park. I don't know. I don't know if I would ever do a behind the scenes Jurassic Park film. It's hard to say. I would certainly like love it, but I think the challenge would be, what can I do? What can I bring to the table that hasn't been done yet? That would be my question. I don't want to just repeat what has already been explored. You know what I mean? Because there's so much that's been explored already, so I don't really know what else would be done. It's tricky. It's tricky. Treading on territory that's been done. I mean, to be fair, that is exactly what the Batman film was all about. Was, have there been films about the animated series? Yeah, sure. And I went through and found stuff that I felt like hadn't been talked about yet, but I knew going into it that there were things that hadn't been talked about. I knew that already. So that made it a little easier for me. TJ says, I guess because I watch YouTube a lot and film locations, I can see you doing that with Jurassic Park. Well, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm not saying I'd be opposed to it. I mean, it would just be a pretty daunting thing to do. I'd also probably have to get hired to do it, because let me tell you, after the last 7 months, I am ready to be paid. I'm ready. That sounds really bad, but maybe it doesn't sound bad. Basically, I've been spending the last 7 months making a nonprofit film and trying to make sure that I can keep paying rent. And as fun as that has been, I would really enjoy it if, I don't have to be living in that fight or flight feeling anymore. It's been, look, let me tell you, one of the hardest things I think, certainly for me, that I've ever had to do. I can't speak for you, but being in a position where you're very much unsure of what's coming next financially, and then you're trying to be creative and ignore all that and pretend it isn't happening, is one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And that describes not only the last 7 months of my life, but that describes my life since May of 2018 when I left corporate America. One of the scariest things ever. And it's only gotten scarier. I wish I could say it's gotten easier. It's gotten like mildly easier in the sense that I've been used to it for a while, but it doesn't mean it's not like it's easy now. It's just more of it. TJ says, not at all. You just made a film, and a Batman at that. Thank you. You know, that's going to be one of the most surprising things of this whole project for me. I've been calling film projects of mine films, spelled like my first name and my last initial. I have been spelling it like that since like 2000, with my first real film was called The Adventures of Peter Meadowdale. And it's like a 30-minute film. It's not available online. Maybe someday I'll upload it. I don't know. Maybe I should do that. But anyway, the point is, that was my very first film. And in the opening credits, it says a Filmaki film. Okay, so this wasn't the first time I've done this, but I haven't been making films consistently over the years. I've been mainly focused on comics. And so when I showed when I associated my new project with the film nomenclature, people really like took to it this time. I don't know why now, but it just sort of happened. And that's been it's been a pleasant surprise how many people have sort of like noticed it, and then when they talk to me, that's how they write it out. So TJ says, honestly, me working as PR, you're the most humble, the most kindest. You really sincerely appreciate things. Oh my gosh, thank you. That is like very nice of you to say. Yeah, thanks, TJ. I can only tell you that I have two extremes in me when it comes to what you just said. I am extremely grateful of the creative things that I've been able to do. I'm very, very, very appreciative that I get to do these things, and I have gotten to do these things. Like, I should probably say I'm grateful every morning. I should probably do that more often. But I genuinely am grateful for it every day. Whether or not I say it is another matter, but I'm always grateful for it in my head. But the other thing I'm grateful for, or I'm sorry, the other thing that I'm feeling, that I have extreme feelings about, I have extreme fear of not being humble. I'm like paranoid that somehow I won't be humble. I can't explain where it comes from. I don't know why that fear is there, but it is, and so I'm always paranoid about it. So when you said that was I really appreciated that. John Van Dalen's here. Thanks for congratulating me, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. I don't know if you've watched it yet. I hope you do get to watch it soon, and I hope you like it. TJ says, I have talked to Sam about you on LA Talk Radio. We are ready for you back this late fall. Well, I'm totally down. Look, I'm ready to go back and talk with Sam in like 2 weeks if you want, because that's when the film will be out. So literally like 2 weeks from today, if he wants to do that, I'm down for that. So if if you want to let him know, that I would totally be up for that. I'm up for it and I'm down for it. I'm both. Anyway, get some liquid water in me. Liquid water as opposed to just eating ice cubes. Oh, they don't have any openings till October. Okay, got it. That's fine. October's fine. I'll probably be ready for something in October anyway. Anyway, so, well, look at this. We talked for 45 minutes, and by we, I mean me. But TJ has been here, and he's been typing. So it's kind of like we're talking together. Thank you for whoever gave me the 3rd like. I appreciate that. You know, I don't know who's ever going to see these and wander into watching these things. I never know. I used to do these live streams every Wednesday, and people kind of got used to them, and people got into a rhythm, and then I got really busy, and then I stopped doing them for a while, and now, you know, it's like I'm yelling down an empty hallway. TJ asks, was it exciting working on Batman? Yeah, yes, it was exciting. Dude, I don't say this lightly, but I'm going to say, like, this movie is a love letter, an absolute love letter to the show that arguably introduced me to Batman in the most impactful way. Because I remember seeing a little bit of the 89 movie when I was a kid, which I love the Tim Burton films. I love them. But when I was a kid and I saw a little bit of the first one, I think it just kind of spooked me. Like, I don't think I remember knowing what to think of it because I was probably like 8 or something like that. But yeah, I was older. I was like 12, I think, when Batman the Animated Series came out. 12? It was probably 12. Let's see, I was born in 81. So 91 would be 10. And so I was 11? Maybe I was 11 when the show came out? I was not even a teenager yet. I was 11. Okay. So yeah, that's like the perfect age to get into Batman the Animated Series. Absolutely. So yeah, anyway, the point is it made a huge impact on me, and this film is the best way that I can think of that I can show that love that I felt shown from the show, that I can then reflect back to the show. That's what this is for me. And of course, you know, with the audience watching it, I hope to inspire people to go and check out the animated series. Like, that would be great. It'd be really great. TJ says, I'd be intimidated with anything Batman. Yeah, there is definitely some intimidation. I mean, you know, it's a character that's known the world over. It's like, you don't want to drop the ball. You don't want to screw things up. You know what I mean? I imagine I would feel even more intimidated, or maybe I should say slightly more intimidated, if I was ever asked to write or illustrate like a Batman story. I think I'd be even more intimidated. Maybe. Because that would be creating something that would enter into the accepted mythos of Batman. And that's like, to me, that would be just super daunting. Like, what do you do with that character? There's a million things that have been done with the character already. You know, obviously everybody would want to do something with his rogues gallery, but then you want to do something new and different. You want to do something that's going to stand out, that's going to feel like an original story. And I think that's probably what's so intimidating by it, is there's been so many original stories. What else can you do? I'm not saying there isn't anything else to do, but I am saying that would be incredibly intimidating to me. TJ says, anytime during production, did you ever have, oh crap, moments like, I'm really working on this. Okay. If you get how I'm saying this. Yeah, I do. And I absolutely did. I had, yes. did I have oh crap moments multiple times. There were definitely bumps in the road. I'm not going to go over specifics, but let me just say there were some unexpected curveballs thrown my way a number of times. Hey, whoever gave me a heart, thank you. Feel free to say hi. Whoever just popped in here and gave me a heart, that was very nice. So, yeah, did I have oh crap moments? Yeah. Almost every day was an oh crap moment, because let me tell you, very early on, this felt like an insurmountable project. Like, I kept thinking to myself, how on earth is this going to even get done? It's too big. There's too many pieces. How can this even be a thing? And I just kept telling myself, that old adage about how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time, which is gross. I wouldn't want to eat an elephant. But the point is, I just kept, breaking it down into smaller to manage pieces. That's it. And eventually I had to get into my brain and coax myself and say, look, man, any day where you can, reasonably tell that you moved the needle meaning like the gauge on whether or not I had progressed that day. I had to tell myself, like, every day, did you move the needle today? And if the answer was yes, even if I had nothing to actually show for it, like if you came to visit me and you were like, hey, Phil, I want to see your progress today, and I really didn't have a way of showing it to you, because that's kind of what editing is. Like, you don't always have a completed piece to show as progress. It's just a lot of like spinning your wheels, but you are making progress. You just have to like dig yourself out. And so, like, if I knew that I did more today than if I had done nothing, which you might be saying to yourself, well, Phil, obviously if you did something, it's more than nothing. Yes, but when you have all day and you're used to an 8-hour workday, you start to kind of like, at least I did. I started wrestling with expectations. And by expectations, I mean of myself. Like expecting myself, if you're going to put in this many hours, you have to be this far along. And let me tell you, that is a really hard battle to fight, because it can just feel like you're not getting anything done. And if you feel like you're not getting anything done, and that happens for days on end, and you're also not leaving your apartment for days on end, I'm just going to say, it can wear you down, You might not know, but I'm telling you, it can wear you down. So when I say the mental, earlier in this live stream, I mentioned the mental Olympics was something that was like the hardest thing to deal with. That's what I'm talking about. Like every day it was, get yourself up out of bed, get yourself motivated to do some work. And then after you do the work, make sure you tell yourself you actually did work, and make sure you remind yourself that you made progress every day. And if I didn't do that every day, let me tell you, the week became a pretty hard thing to get through. So if I learned a number of things doing this, but if I had to say like one thing that I learned that I'm very thankful for, I'm very thankful for the knowledge I now have of how I work. Like learning how you work and learning like what it takes for you to do what you need to feel that you did what you need. It's very heady stuff, but let me tell you, that's everything. That is, if you can get that going, you can do anything. Seriously. TJ says, you just seem so relaxed and calm. Well, TJ, did I mention I started out as a theater actor? No, I am relaxed and calm, but I'm relaxed and calm because I'm on the other side of it. It's easy to be relaxed and calm now that the film is done. It's a lot easier. Like, Really, and then when I was working on the closed captions, the film was done, but like I started this whole other thing with these closed captions, and it was a week, and it was hard because I was just like in my head, I kept hearing, yeah, but I thought I was done. What is going on? It was like the project was like holding on to me and not letting go, or maybe I was holding on to it and not letting go, right? So TJ says, oh lordy, I have so many questions about editing. Oh, I could talk about editing forever, TJ. I'm not going to, but let me tell you what I won't be telling you is I won't be talking too much about that unless you really want to know. Unless people have specific editing questions, I will tell you that editing, holy cow, like, you start looking at bathroom breaks. You start looking forward to bathroom breaks as a way to break up the action, because it's not that I don't like editing. I love editing, but editing is very tedious. And, I would be like falling asleep at my desk, just trying to push through a section. So then you're like, okay, how long has it been since I went to the bathroom? How long has it been since I got up and got a drink? How long has it been since I took a walk outside? How long has it been since I called a friend and had some human interaction? Really, like that was hard too. I started getting so laser focused every single day that it became difficult to take breaks. Taking breaks was like I almost didn't want to do it. And then when I would go on a break, then I wouldn't want to come back. It's like, it was crazy. And it's not that I didn't want to work on this project, but it's hard to explain it. But you start getting tunnel vision, and tunnel vision is just a crazy thing. Seriously. Jonathan Van Dalen says, I once made a 7-minute YouTube video comprised of voiceover and game footage I captured, and it took me hours, only to realize I had made a bunch of mistakes. Yes! John, yes, you get it. Yes. That's what this project was. Except I had interviewed 17 people, many of whom I spoke with for over an hour. I don't know if it was many of whom, but a good number of whom I spoke with for over an hour. So, then it's like, well, everything that they're saying is good. I feel so fortunate to have been spoiled for choice on what to put in this film. Everybody has such great things to say that I was like, I don't know what to put in the movie. Like, all this stuff is good. What do I even put in there? That was crazy. TJ says, did you learn any new techniques? Yes, absolutely. Some of the techniques I learned were like new tricks in the software that I didn't know about, but other things were just new ways that I was doing things based off of like patterns that I was creating. Like, again, learning how you work for yourself. It's incredible. Hey, Dale's here. Dale's my cartoon friend that I've never met in person, but we've become friends through various online internet speakings. Dale says, well, some topics just give you so much, almost too much to work with for a documentary. Yeah, like for real, Dale, honestly, by the end of this project, I was like, okay, well, this is longer than I wanted it to be. And yet somehow I feel like it only scratched the surface. It is one of the weirdest feelings. I was like, I didn't mean for this movie to go over 2 hours. I didn't mean for that. And yet I could have kept going. It was really, it's like, am I even doing it justice by not going even further in depth? But I don't feel like that anymore. But that was my concern when I was in the middle of like editing. TJ says, I was just wondering what difference between Stay Tuned to Batman. Well, I don't know that I know what you mean, TJ, but I'm going to answer your question the way that I think you meant it. So Stay Tuned is an interview show where I talk to one person about their life in animation. And you can hear me and you can hear them. And sometimes you can see me and you can see them if it's a live stream. This Batman film is similar in the sense that I conducted all the interviews, and you can see and hear the people that I interviewed, but you cannot see or hear me. So I personally am not present in the documentary. That's the difference between a regular Stay Tuned podcast or live stream show and this movie. The movie is solely focused around the people who made Batman the Animated Series. You don't hear me asking them questions. And early on, I spoke with like some filmmakers, and people were like, "Oh, I think you're making a mistake. I think you need to be in there." And let me tell you how glad I am that I did not listen to that advice. People give me advice unsolicited often. And, being given advice is one thing, but whether or not you take that advice is another. And I'm really, really glad I did not take that advice. So, anyway, hey, it's an hour. We managed to be talking for an hour. I didn't know if that was going to happen tonight. I really appreciate you guys being here. If you missed the beginning part of this, you're welcome to watch it on the rewind. I'm going to leave it up on Facebook. I'll leave it on Twitch, and I'll leave it up on my YouTube channel. A couple takeaways. I'm trying to build some social media stuff, and well, really, this is what I'm doing for my living. So it's not just social media stuff. I'm trying to build it because this is my career. So if you haven't already, toss me a like on this video on YouTube, and subscribe to me on YouTube. That would be like really appreciated if you could do that, because I'm trying to like increase that number. And if you're not already following me on Patreon, you can for free. I promise it's free if you click follow. But if you really want to support me on Patreon, you can like throw $2 my way. And that's like the base amount is like $2. And if you do that, then you'll be one of my official patrons, and you'll get access to this movie tonight. Like if you log into the Patreon account and you look at the post that I've made, the most recent post is a link to the film. So if you want to go and watch the film now, and believe me, you do want to do that. This is like, I'm very proud of this movie. I'm confident in telling you that. I don't like saying I'm proud about things typically. That's the thing I think all artists struggle with. But I am proud about this movie. And I feel good in my own like satisfaction of the work that I did. Which, by the way, as an artist, if you can get there, is a great place to get, because then you're not afraid of sharing it with the world. I think people get apprehensive about, oh no, what if someone doesn't like it, whatever. Let me tell you, a really great remedy for that is feeling good within yourself that you did the right thing. And if you feel that, then I don't know. I think that's like the best protection against those kinds of fears. Personally, I think so. So anyway, thanks so much, guys, for hanging out with me. We're 12 days away from the general premiere wide release of the film on YouTube. 12 days away. But you can watch it tonight, as early as right now, if you go and subscribe to me on Patreon. Thank you to all my Kickstarter backers from back in February and January for providing me the necessary funding that I needed to make this film in such a short period of time. So that was uber helpful, because I could focus on, I could put all of my attention on the film, which was great. It's what I needed to do. And it's what I think helped me just, stay focused, was constantly having that every day when I wake up. It's like you're working on the film. And that is exactly what allowed me to finish it in 7 months. That's it, being able to do it every day. It's a lot harder if you can't do it every day. Thanks to all my existing patrons and any future ones that might pop in. Thank you guys for being there, seriously. Thanks to all the 17 amazing people that I was fortunate enough to be able to interview for this movie. Seriously, literally couldn't have done it without you, because it's about you. And yeah, thanks to everybody who's going to watch the movie. Thanks for watching it in advance. I hope you love it. And I hope you share it with people. I hope they love it. It's like, it's all you can hope for, right? Thanks for whoever's giving me likes and hearts on Facebook right now. Much obliged. Again, if you don't mind heading over to my YouTube channel, just search Phil Maki on YouTube. I would love it if you could toss me a subscribe on there. That would be really great. While you're there on YouTube on my channel, check out like the tons of content. I have so many interviews there, lots of live stream stuff. Like there's a lot of content there, and lots to keep you occupied, including some animated cartoon stuff that I've done. You can check out some of that too. So if you need a direct link, you can go to this link tree thing here, and you'll see a link to the YouTube stuff. All right, I was just amusing myself. Thanks, so guys. Thanks so much, guys. There's probably going to be a new episode of Stay Tuned Live on Friday of this week. It was rescheduled from last week, so hopefully I'll see you there, and maybe I'll do another one of these on Wednesday next week. So keep those eyeballs peeled for more. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful night.